God bless everyone out there in Radio Land. This is Barry and Karen coming to you live from Embracing Marriage with Barry and Karen. We thank God for the opportunity to come before you once again tonight and to bring you another podcast dealing with marriage and relationships. And thank God for my lovely wife who is sitting beside me ever so quietly. Hello, wife.
Hello, my wonderful husband.
Yeah, we're here once again just to kind of share with you some of the things that God has blessed us to come out of. As you probably have noticed, that's what we talk about. We talk about us. We can't use any example but ourselves. So that's what we're talking about tonight. Talking about us. So, like I said, just to kind of recap a little bit, to let you know basically what we talked about. If you've been following us, you've noticed we've been doing a series on the seasons of marriage, and this is the last of a 4-part series of lessons that we've done on the season of marriage. We did the other 3 seasons. We started with winter, and then we did spring and summer. In summer we did and uploaded it yesterday. Excuse me. So now we're going to do our last one, which is on fall. When we deal with fall, you're going to probably notice there's some similarities to it compared to winter. And the reason being is because usually fall is the time right before winter comes, according to the timeline. And it's the same with us in our marriages. We were talking about this actually. It's funny because, like I said, during the time when we were going through what we were going through at the time, I happened to come across this. We happened to have the book already. I think we had it somewhere. Yeah, we had it somewhere in the box. And I was just basically trying to find something to kind of just look at to get an idea or to get some kind of answers or something. I was trying to really just get some answers. And so to try to see what could I do to fix the situation if it could be fixed, And so I ran across this book, which is written by Gary Chapman, which we had gotten. I don't know when we got it, where we got it. We just happened to come across it, and I said it was the Seasons of Marriage. And so I decided, well, I was going to read it. It also has a little workbook strategy thing in the back. So the chapters, you actually read the different types, and he divides it up in emotions, attitudes, and actions. What are the actions of attitudes, emotions of each season, the attitudes of each season, and the actions. And so he went through that and gave examples of different couples and that were dealing with these different seasons. And so tonight, as we were going through the book, we ran across a couple of them that really didn't make any sense. I guess it was just something that, because a lot of it he took from when he did the seminars. So some of these people were basically at the place, and he kind of just did an on thing, interview with them, and just say, hey, maybe he just came to him and said, hey, I'm writing this book. Can I include your testimony in this book with your permission? Sure. So kind of it might have went like that. I don't know, So, but from way he was wording it, it seemed like he was just kind of talking to him, kind of like, interviewing them based on the seminar. And because they were mentioning it in their testimony about their marriage, which was, I wouldn't say it was so much testimonials. They were basically kind of examples of what he was talking about in their particular phases.
Something that they was going through and experienced.
Yeah, he was asking about their experiences and different things. But since we don't know those people and we only know us, we can only talk about us. And so, fall. We read up on it. We was reading about it before we got to kind of get some ideas of what it is. Before I do this, I'm gonna hand my wife the book so she can look through it. So, in case you want to ask me something. So anyway, the fall was usually, it's kind of self-explanatory. Everything pretty much starts falling in fall. Oh, see, yeah. So the fall is usually, if it does not a whole lot you can explain about fall.
Mm-mm.
So I don't want to go into an explanation about season. Everybody know what fall is. Just look around during the time. It's the time when you have to rake the yard a lot. That's the season that I'm talking about.
Yes.
When your grass is brown and when your trees are getting naked, that's fall.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a prelude to winter. And as we gave the description of winter is usually the time in your marriage when everything pretty much goes down, and it's about on the brinks of dying, and it's just there's no more hope, there's no more chance, there's nothing, it's just barren, there's no life, it's cold, it's just without any communication, no intimacy, nothing. So fall usually falls right before that. The biggest thing that we started when we were reading this, the biggest thing that causes a marriage to go into the fall season is most likely, not usually, but most likely, neglect.
Yeah.
And so neglect was a big thing with us, and we was talking about that because when I actually read this chapter, in the beginning of the chapter, I actually wrote in it during the time we was going in, and he was talking about that. I wrote in there and said, please read this. This is what season we're in now. And exactly, it had described us to a T. And everything, yeah. It was like we basically were looking at a mirror image of what we were dealing with, because it was a lot what had happened. We didn't, because I was trying to find out where did it fall short or what happened. Where did we get, how did we get to here? Mm-hmm. And so when I was reading that, I said, well, hey, that's it right there. That's how we got here. And so
yeah, and it was neglect. Like we were saying earlier, it all started off with I think when you got your job, the new job position.
Yeah.
And I was saying earlier how we got caught up in excitement.
Yeah.
And he was making more money. But the only thing we wasn't able to see each other.
Yeah.
So I think after all excitement and more money and the job, and I was on this on time high. I was like, yes, I was so excited.
Mm-hmm.
And once the newness worn off, about the new job position, and then I was like, well, hey, I don't see my husband no more.
Yeah.
And so we just got caught up in our own little world. You would be here by yourself.
Yeah.
And I'll be at work.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come pick me up and you drop me off, and then I would be home by myself.
Yeah.
So, and I had my own little world going.
Mm-hmm.
So when we was home together, it was like we just neglected and to be
neglecting
neglected to spend any quality time, because I was always social siting, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and mm-hmm. you was gaming.
Yeah.
So we really didn't even think to come together and say, well, hey, we need to spend some time.
Yeah.
It was missing.
Yeah.
And that's what we both wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I would kind of fuss and go on these little rants about, well, you always gaming and you always gaming. You don't have no time for me, and I'm always on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
But so that was one of the things that we noticed that was missing.
Yeah. I think but I think a lot of it, like I say, just what he was saying in the book was mm-hmm. to say the people that was in that fall season, the couples that are in that fall season, the marriage appears to be okay. Mm-hmm. Because taking on the surface, you would see us together. We would go to church. People always complimented how we're a cute couple and we always dress alike. And or had similar colors, and she always, we always come in. They always was amazed by how we always met coordinated.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they was just to a lot of people that didn't know we were fine, you know. And that's usually how they said. He said in the book, that's how usually it is. The people you see them, they look okay,
Yeah.
but under the surface, everything is changing. And when we started, and when it gets to the point where, and we talked about this, really, we really did talk about fall more so in our very first podcast when we did how to keep from drifting in your marriage.
Yeah.
We basically, you get to the point, especially in fall, when everything starts to disconnect. Leaves disconnect from the trees. So does your marriage start. You start emotionally disconnecting, disengaging. I was talking about. We was listening to somebody earlier, and he was talking about disengaging. How that slowly that people would disengage. They would kind of, you first they would be coming, they'll miss a Sunday, and then they'll start missing several Sundays, and so in relationships, you'll start disengaging emotionally, and you're not even aware of it. You'll start having separate worlds. Like in our case, like I said, like she said, I gamed a lot. And the only reason why I did game a lot is because in my head, this is my thinking. I worked like I did. That was my way of basically de-stressing, because my job is moderately stressful. It's not a kind that, it's so high stressed. It's moderately stressed. It's one of those kind of jobs that kind of you make you have to deal with different types of people. Some days you have some days some people act as though they have some intelligence. Other days they don't. So that's kind of job I got. So, and and sometimes we rush, sometimes we're not. So a lot of times but before that, the job I did have was high stress.
Yes.
Oh yeah, my blood pressure stayed high. I was stressed out all the time. The crew I worked with was stressed out. My boss was stressed out. It was just, she kept us like that. And I worked around, I was one of the few males there at that time. I think I was the only male, and it was bad. So my wife's my pressure stayed high the whole time. I was already had a thing with it, but it really never really went above a certain line. It stayed way up there, and I was always stressed out. So I had to change jobs in order to save my health. Well, I'd end up, something happening to me. So I ended up changing jobs, and the job I have is less stress, and I like it. I can deal with people all day. I'm a people person, and so I'm learning now how to use my skills as a people person to deal with people that I deal with. And so what happened? I used that as an excuse to just to, deal with what I'm dealing with. Well, during the days, like I say, she says I'm here. I went to work at 3:30 in the afternoon, and she got off at 2. So I think 2. So I go in at 2:30. She get off at 2. So I had to pick her up at a little earlier. And actually I picked.
No, I think I was, because I was getting off at 1:30.
You was getting off 1:30, yeah. So she getting off 1:30. So I had to go pick her up, then get ready. And the days that we were off together, which was 4 days out the month, which was every other weekend, we would spend a little time. And at that time, some weekends we'd be okay, and then some weekends we would not. So that's how we was doing. But the days that during the week when when she was off, I had to go run and take care of our business, and then I had to go rush home, and I had to get ready to go speed off to work. Sometimes I was late, sometimes I was on time. It just depends, and I hated doing that, because then I get home, she sleep.
Yeah, so it was like no connection at all.
No
nothing.
Connection.
Yeah, because you would get off at 11 o'clock. Yeah, and I would be asleep.
Yeah, she'd be asleep because she goes to bed pretty early, so she don't go to sleep. Me, it was also bad for me because I had to. It took me. I get home, and then she would always have food for me. Even when she was mad, she had food ready for me. She did. Yeah. One thing I can say, I'm gonna put a pin right here. I want to say this. One thing I can say about my wife, even when we were going through this whole time, she never neglected to do anything for me, and I didn't either.
Yeah.
We had gotten down to the point where we didn't want to sin against God
Yeah.
by neglecting our husband and wife duties towards. We did
Yeah.
just
We didn't. Yeah. We never
no.
ever did that.
No, we didn't neglect each other to the point we didn't like each other, but we wasn't gonna
to do,
risk
no.
his anger by being foolish, you know.
Yeah, we did not ever do that.
No, so
yeah, you still worked,
yeah,
you still provided,
Mhm.
you still made sure I had everything
yeah,
that I needed as a husband.
yeah.
I think the only thing that was lacking was the communication.
We didn't talk much,
and we was we was disconnected because we wasn't around.
No,
We wasn't around each other, and then like I say, when we were from time to time, not all the time, but
No.
from time to time, we would
we would have these
yeah,
discussions.
we were just already in our own, world,
Yeah,
and just didn't, like I say, and we both wanted each other, we just didn't know how to say it,
yeah,
and when we would say it, it would just come out uh wrong. We just had, I think, just had a problem just communicating.
Well, communication was pretty much like I said. When you're in that fall season, that's the first thing to go.
Mhm.
Is a communication. When you asked me the question last night
Mhm.
about what was the thing that we knew that season had changed, was the fact that communication came back, because that's the thing that leaves in fall.
Mm-hmm.
See, how you deal with fall determines where you end up, whether you end up in summer or spring,
Mm-hmm.
or in winter, because how you handle fall is where determines how you end up. It's like the pendulum that basically goes from one season, one side to the other. If you choose to not to do anything in your marriage, and you just decide to let things just go the way they are, then you'll end up in winter without even knowing it, without even realizing.
And that's true, because we was talking about how one while that we thought our marriage was just like on autopilot.
Yeah, yeah.
So can you kind of
Well,
explain?
we ain't too much. I mean, unless you don't know what autopilot is, it's not much.
Well, how do you get there in your marriage?
What it is that you get to the point where you think the marriage is just going to run itself. You take your spouse for granted, because you're pretty much going and recording the routine. A lot of people, especially in our case, we had kids at the time, and we basically focused on raising the kids. And because she was single at the time with children, and I married into this, and then I'm trying to learn how to be a father and a husband. She's trying to learn how to be a mother and a wife. So we're basically focused more. We were focused on the mother-father thing more than the husband-wife thing. Now, we didn't have as much. I think we didn't really have as much of communication as we did when we were married. When we became, I think once they got older, we started to spend a little bit more time. But as they got older, but when we were younger, we spent time dealing with them.
Yeah, and mainly because we realized that the friendship was missing. I think during that period that the friendship was missing, because like you say, we was trying to be husband and wife. Mm-hmm. We was trying to be mother and father. Mm-hmm. And church, and that was church, and that was our life.
That was our life, yeah.
So what the mother, the father, to work, and the church. So we never took time out for ourselves to say, well, hey, let's go have a date. Yeah, let's do something fun. Yeah, it was just always. I mean, and people would ask me that. They said, well, what do you do, or where do y'all go? I say home, work, and church. That's it. That was my life. I said, that's my life: home, work, and church. I never did say, well, me and my husband, we take our time to go for a date. We just didn't have the time, because with the children and me trying to be a wife, get home and cook and make sure that he had clothes, was washed, this and that and other. We just that part. Yeah, we just forgot about it.
Yeah, and then
so routine.
Then our responsibilities in the ministry
was greater.
Because the further up God promoted me, the more responsibility I got, and then I was leaned on more so because I was faithful to what I was faithful at ministry. We both were. So it was a lot laid on us until the point where we actually passed it, and that was really, a big thing. But before that, we had a lot of responsibilities. I mean, he leaned on us a lot for to get a lot done. I'm responsible for a lot. I helped him with a lot of stuff. Especially, I think our biggest events were he did a lot of ordination and installation for pastors and bishops and stuff like that. And that was when because I did my responsibility was to make sure, because they did not have certificates and stuff. I knew I had some graphic design skills. I do. So I created their stationery for him for all the letterheads and all this different stuff like that, because he didn't have his own at the time. And I did it at first for his radio station, and then I did it for the church. And I made our very first certificates they ever had for the ministry. I created it just using some kind of desktop program. I don't even know what it was to this day, but it was nice, and I had an eye for that kind of stuff, and I still do it because we created. With my wife's help, we created that website we have now, which is which I'll tell you about in this podcast. So, what happened? We had different lives. We started going back to this today. We have different lives because, like I said, she was focused on when I got to the point where I got tired of gaming. I would look back there and she'd still be on the phone. Well, in my head, well, I didn't want to disturb her. She doing her thing and she relaxing. That's how she unwound because she worked hard too. So I didn't want to bother. But you know what? It started. I went back to playing, and guess what? Before you know it, she was asleep and I was still gaming, and we kept doing that until it got to the point where
it was just a routine.
It was a routine. She grabbed the phone. I grabbed the controller. We didn't say. I ain't asked how our day was. She didn't ask me how my. Well,
yeah, we did.
We did ask. That was it. Yeah, we. That was the only. That was it.
Yeah, but it was just like a routine. Like,
yeah, it was.
We would. I just knew what he was gonna do. As soon as he walk in the door, he goes straight to the computer.
I sure do.
And straight to the game. So I'm like, well, and even though I was feeling some kind of way, I never said anything. But on my inside was like raging.
Yeah.
Like you would not believe. And I would never say nothing. I mean, I would just like be on the inside, like, and I wouldn't say nothing. So I just pick up the phone and just start. I say, well, let's see what they talking about on Facebook. Let's see what they talking about on Twitter. So I would just use that as a,
just an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing is, and then mine was the game, and I use that as an outlet. And I'll say all we had to do was, stop and talk to one another, and we didn't. So it got to the point where it drifted. Basically, it just drifted out, and we drifted apart. And before we realized it, we realized something was wrong. And that's where losing people, the couples, when go into this fall season, they realize something is wrong.
Yeah.
But they don't know what.
And we wasn't there.
Yeah, and we didn't know what was going on at first because stuff started happening. And it just came on us all of a sudden. I mean, it just out. And it wasn't really, honestly, it came on us all of a sudden, but that didn't mean that it's happened all of a sudden. It was a gradual thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't realize it till it had gotten to the point of where we were at that time. It had been going on for months before all this stuff happened.
Yeah, because we've been stopped kind of talking to each other, cause like I say, because we had your world, I had mine.
Yeah.
So really, the talking kind of, we just really wasn't talking to each other, cause like I say, cause you had your friends on the game, and I had my little thing with the Facebook. So we really just the friendship kind of went. We really didn't even know.
Yeah.
How we just wasn't unaware that I was like, we don't even talk to each other. You come home, you do this, I do that, I cook and eat your food, and it was like routine.
Yeah.
And we was very little, and not that we was even mad or had no kind of way. We just stopped.
We just stopped. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we just,
especially that first year, when my first year on the job, that's when it really it went routine like that. Oh yeah, until the next year. It basically, that's when everything pretty much fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
So it took it a year for it to get that point.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, when they run into that, and you'll hear them say that. So I don't know where it went wrong. You hear that statement.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it went wrong when you have to go and backtrack to the point where you stopped connecting.
Yeah.
When you stopped communicating, when you stopped connecting with one another emotionally, that's when everything went wrong.
Yeah, that's when the attitude would come in, because I think when I would bring it up, like I say, and I would make mention of it, and then you would be like, well, okay, well, then I think maybe you'll do it. At you kind of stop.
Yeah.
Well, you'll stop that. Then when I make mention, then the next day then you'll spend time with me. But then I was like, okay, now the next day you spend time. Then the day after that, you go back to the game, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Now that's when it really started to, I'm like, okay, that's when it on me. That's when it started taking a. I'm like, well, wait a minute. He just said that because I made mention of it.
Yeah.
I say this wasn't no hard for. He just said that so I could shut up and wouldn't be complaining about him. So he could. So that little day, you give me that little day, try to, and I'm like, no, this not enough. That's when I started to realize, I say, okay, this is not enough. This one day, and I'm good that day and I'm happy. And then not next day I could go back to. So, and that's when I realized this was starting to take us toll.
Yeah, it was starting to get to, because then I started trying to escape into it. Because you have to realize too, I was already coming out of an addiction as it was when I was addicted to pornography. So I still had the addictive nature there anyway, and I didn't realize it at the time. And I think when we went through, when after the year went by and then everything kind of fell apart, when everything was gone, pretty much, I had to see myself that at the time I was trying to use that as an escape, like I used porn as an escape. Mm-hmm. And it was the same thing. Only difference is it was a different medium. I wasn't doing pornography anymore, and I wasn't looking at stuff like that, but I was in the gaming, and I was just engrossed into that, and that was my focus. I wasn't focused on her. She was right here, and so, but then I had in my mind, I said, well, why won't she just join me? And because I did, in a sense, I did want her a part of it, but I knew she wasn't into that kind of stuff. And I was like, I'm not going to force her to get into something she's not into, but I never cared to ask. See, that's the problem.
Yeah.
When you don't communicate your feelings, your thoughts, your intentions, or whatever, they're not going to be able to know what's going on with you.
No, and that's true. They cannot read your mind.
No, they can't read your mind. So you gotta, and that's that's the problem with when you're in fall season. Communication is to a minimum, and that's when you start to go into this survival mode where you try to find a way to fix the damage that's been done. Mm-hmm. So then you go. This is a season too that a lot of people, they go when they realize something's not right, they try to get some help. They try to either go to a counselor, and I think that's what happened to us. We ended up realizing that we needed some help.
Yeah, because a lot of people, the truth be told, that you reached out to get help.
Yeah, I reached out.
I was so because I felt like you wasn't there emotionally for me.
Yeah.
So I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was like, well, you kept saying, well, baby, we need to get some help. I'm like, I'm not going.
Yeah. She would decide to, and then all of a sudden she would get mad.
I don't want to go because I don't want nobody in my business. I don't need people knowing because I'm a private person.
Yeah,
I'm very, very private.
Yeah,
I guess I grew up in those times where they say, well, we're going in this house, stay in this house. So I grew up, with parents like that, and you whatever you hear in here, it better not go past these walls. Mm-hmm. So I grew up very, very private. My business, like I say, I'm sharing. Mm-hmm. I don't care if it get out, but some things I just don't care to share, and you would never know.
Yeah.
So, and I've been like that. So he wanted to go to, I say, counseling. I said, and tell people our business, and a lot of it was pride.
It was
because
pride,
people always seen us out and about.
Yeah.
And when we out and about, you would not think that all this stuff that we talking about, you would never know it.
No.
You would think we were the perfect couple. Mm-hmm. We dressed alike. I was honey. look like well to do. Hey, I will go to church. I'll be in the best dress. I'll be dressed from head to toe.
Yeah.
Hats, the outfit, the shoes. I'll be well put together. And so my husband. So you look at us, you think, well, you think we was a perfect couple. We used to sit under each other, we hug, we held hand in the prayer line, praying for people. and hands lifted up, and praising God and everything, and get home, and honey, it looked like we went from heaven to hell.
Yeah,
all in a second. I'm like,
in 6.6 seconds. So I'm telling you, one time I kid you not, and then we gonna kind of close it down because we just gonna keep going. Listen. We and let me show you how bad we were, because we really didn't realize how bad we were until we left. Now we've done, like I said, we never really argued in public. We really never ever argued in public. No,
we never ever.
Until one time we actually had made a total spectacle of both of us, and only because of me. I wouldn't leave her alone. But the only time that we actually had people see us just not be ourselves was that one time. And that's when I really realized that we needed some help, because we never acted like that. That was undignified for us, because they always seen us coming and going. We hardly ever even know it was in unless they hear our music or whatever, and or hear me in here make comments as I'm gaming, But other than that, they see us coming and going. I mean, but that day it was not pretty. I'm telling you, it was not pretty. Yeah. But the thing is, we had to when we went out, we were even the day we went to get the counseling, we argued.
We didn't even make the first counseling.
We didn't make the first one. Supposed to even bless. We had to reschedule it twice. Actually, I think we ended up going the third time because we missed the second one.
Yeah, the first one, I think, Lord, I don't know. We had gotten into an argument
right before
before counseling. I say now this ain't nothing but the devil.
Yeah.
And I mean, we argued and we had a heated discussion. I was like,
yeah, right before counseling,
we getting dressed. I said, I'm not going.
Yeah,
and so we went. Well, by the time we got there, the man had to left.
Yeah,
and the poor lady, I know she sensed anybody, and they could sense.
It was tense.
We were so tensed up, and I mean, our attitudes was like horrible. So I mean, so that's one of the things too that's in the book, that they were saying how your attitude.
Yeah.
And I mean, our attitude was horrible. She was like asking us questions. I'm like, I was all short, he was all short.
Yeah.
And we had an argument before we had the counseling. He asked us. He said, "Well, how's it going?" I was like, and then he looked at him and he was like, he said, "Well, okay, we gonna."
Well,
so it was thick then. So I was like, oh my God.
Because we had and by me and then I had developed I developed a temper during that time, and then he noticed it. That I noticed I got easily frustrated, because I was so stressed out, and I didn't know what to do, and then there's a lot of stuff happening, and it was so much going on, and
it's like everything that you was doing, it wasn't working.
Yeah, and it was frustrating.
And you really was trying.
Yeah,
and nothing was working, and you was very, very frustrated.
Yeah, and I got to my Wednesday, and I know that she didn't want to argue anymore, and I didn't want to either, and so we was trying to find a way to fix it, and that's usually what people, when they get into the fall season, does. But like I said, what you do in this season will determine whether or not you're going to end up being being back in the honeymoon stage or in divorce court.
That's the truth.
Because if you decide today that I'm going to fix my marriage, all it's going to take for you to do is to go get some help. If you need to talk to someone, if you need to counsel with someone, if you feel as though you can't talk to anybody around you, we're here for you. All you got to do is just just go to our website, which is embracingmarriagetogether.wordpress.com. Just click on that link that says contact us, and you can send us a prayer request. You can send us a message. We'll get it. We'll pray for you. We'll respond to you. If you need to talk, if you need to communicate with us, we'll pray for you. We will.
Yeah. 'Cause I mean, that's what worked for us. We began to pray one for another.
Yeah.
We began to be students of our marriage.
Yeah.
And he began to encourage me. I began to encourage him.
Yeah.
So these were some of the things that was positive that actually worked. We started back dating each other, and now we're spending more time, more now than ever. Yeah. And so now, you know, we always call him my best friend forever. So I always say my BFF.
Yeah. So yeah, she's my best friend too.
So now, you know, we just like best friends.
Yeah.
And so those were some of the things, you know, that we did. We read books.
Yeah.
And we pray. And every day we go to what they have, marriage mentors. So we
go. It's Love After Marriage. It's based on a book written by this couple, and a couple in our church that's over the marriage ministry. They actually doing a teaching on it. So we go to that every week because it's on our life classes. We have life classes at our church, and so that's one of our life classes. And so we try to attend that, and so we get a chance. Really, we're gonna actually, you know, attend our services because, like I say, we've been busy on our weekends. So now we have to kind of slow down and say, hey, now next weekend for sure we gonna be in now.
Yeah, so we do. So now we do date, and and every day he tell me that he loved me, he encouraged me, and and he let me know that I matter.
Yeah.
And emotionally, you know, I do feel that connection again. And so I'm feeling like, you know, hey, we are one.
Yeah. And so, and so, but if we decided to just let things go like they was, then it would have ended up, we wouldn't be having this podcast. We wouldn't be talking to you. You wouldn't even heard nothing because once it got real bad, we pretty much had just gotten rid of everything. I mean, we had nothing. I mean, nothing that you would, any form of internet, any form of communication that was possibly even used, it was gotten rid of. And then, like I said, it was just like, a lot of it was on our parts, insecurities, because we did stuff that showed our insecurities.
Yeah, it was a lot of things that I would do. Because I was insecure. I think you would always tell me that I was doing damage control.
Damn, yeah. Now, I'm glad you mentioned that. Let me tell you what I mean by that. And I think I might have mentioned that before, but let me say it again. When you're in this season 2, you also do what is called damage control. Damage control is a term they use on a ship. When you sail on a ship, damage control was actually a department that was a part of their responsibility was that if in case of a hit from a missile or a torpedo or something, if it breached the hull, their part was to shore it up with boards and with stuff to make sure that it stays afloat. So they would shore it up with 2x4s and boards, and they would screw it in place, and they would do all this stuff to make sure that it stays afloat. Or they would lock down doors that was like a watertight doors that would keep the deck that was flooded from flooding any further, so they would float on certain decks. Ships are made to, if you lock it down, it will still float if you seal off certain decks below. So that was their job, to batten down the hatches, as they call it. You probably heard that term. That's where exactly they got it from. They actually turn the wheel and tighten up the hatch or the door to make sure it floats. So that's what damage control in a marriage is, of one person or both of them.
Well, it mainly was me.
Yeah, but one or the other would, sometimes both, because then you try to do things to make sure that the marriage, you see it sinking. So what you'll do is you'll try to do stuff out of either fear or mostly fear. You're doing this. Fear is your motivation, because you don't want it to sink. Just like in the boat, in the ship, you don't want the ship to sink. The guys are just on it, even though they're trained to do that. You are not trained to make this marriage last, because number one, it's ordained to God. God's the one that instituted marriage, and the only one that can keep it from sinking is Him. So your attempts to keep it from sinking is only going to make you tired because you're not doing it out of faith. You're doing it out of fear.
Yeah. And I did a lot of that.
Yeah.
I would do damage control. So if I see something that wouldn't look right, or I would get this insecure, I would feel not safe or whatever. So I would go into this damage control mode. I either try to change it up.
Yeah.
Or either get rid of it, or either he gonna have to do something different with this. You gonna have to fix this, or you gonna have to do something. You gotta do something. You have to fix this, and so that was my way of doing.
I'm laughing because I tell you, for a time, I didn't know what time it was for a while. I clocked at 5 different times. We'll tell you a story later, but that, I'm telling you, it was crazy. But but you know what? That was her. It was and I didn't realize till later that that's what she was doing it out of, and I knew she was doing it out of fear.
It was out of a fear. It was, and that I was insecure. I had a whole lot of insecurities.
Yeah.
And I was like, and if I didn't feel safe and I didn't feel secure,
she was gonna do what it took.
Oh, I was gonna do whatever it take. He was gonna hear my mouth.
Yeah.
It was gonna be either or.
Yeah, she knew. So, and that was the thing with that's why we're telling you that what you do in this season, if you're in this place where you feel like you're not connected, where you feel like you just if you feel in this, you got this up. Let me see if you're feeling this, these are the different things that you might be feeling. If you're feeling fear, that's the first thing I've seen. You're feeling the fear, the sadness, dejection, apprehension, discouragement, resentment, feelings of being unappreciated. If you have an attitude of concern, uncertainty, and blaming, which we did, Londa.
I think all the above.
Yeah. If you have a neglect, the actions of neglect and failure to face issues and drifting apart, disengaging. In the fall season, couples sense that something is happening, but not sure what. There's a sense of detachment. One of both spouses begin to feel neglected. Couples realize that there are some issues, but they are not facing squarely. It seems that they are disengaging emotionally, and each intend to blame the other. And if they live in the fall season for a while, their friends and families may recognize the change. So yeah, it started, all the above is what happened to us.
Yes.
You're in that kind of state. We pray for you that God will bless you to be able to make the right decisions in the season that you're in. Because we want you to know that God can turn it around, but it's going to be up to you how you handle the situation. If you need to get some help, if you need help, contact us. We can refer you to some people. If you really need professional counseling, we can't counsel you because we're not professional counselors, but we know some, and we can refer you to somebody that can get you some help in your area. Wherever area you are, we can find you some help. Yeah. We can refer you some sites that can get you some help. We just pray for you and we talk to you. You just need a listening ear. We're here for you. Yeah. But the thing is that one thing about it, we do this together. If you talk to us, you talk to both of us. We ain't no talking to me and talking to her. We do both. We don't play that game. So you get counseled by both of us. So that's how we'll do it. So we want to bring this to a close and want you to know, like I said, if you want to check us out and to see what we're about, you can go to our website, embracingmarriagetogether.wordpress.com. I know I told y'all we were supposed to be changing that. We are going to change that, but we're changing it soon, but not now. So it's still going to be embracingmarriagetogether.wordpress.com. You can click on the links there. It can take you to our podcast. You take it to our Periscope, take it to our Gmail, our Google Plus page, and all those different avenues and those different platforms that we have. You can check us out there. If you're listening to this on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. And
also our brother Willie.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you about my brother. He's 45, but I don't care. Listen, my brother's also on podbean.com. You can go there to destinedforvictoryradio.podbean.com. You can check him out. Check him and my sister-in-law out. Check him out there. Him and my sister Wendy, they are awesome. God is blessing him with these episodes. So check him out there. You can also check out his Facebook page. He's probably announced it. You can go to his and check out. He does a Facebook Live. He does an awesome job on that. See what else. I got one announcement. and then I'll go for real. We're going into a different avenue. You can check me out on twitch.tv/embracing_gaming149. You can check me there, Embrace Gaming 149. That's me. And that's us. Basically, that's our gaming version. If you're a gamer, check us out there. Check us and follow us there. You can we can't subscribe yet because I'm not partnering, but you can follow me. Come check me out. If you're a gamer, you're into games, I'm going to be doing different types of games. So I'm also going to be ministering the word, so you can follow along with us and just, be a support. I'm going to put the announcement out in our Facebook page, kind of show you and everything. So just check us out there. God bless you. We're going to get up out of here, and we're going to go and fix this thing and make it sound good. So
and everyone have a good night and be encouraged.
Amen.